Attention! And welcome to the Husker Army Podcast. With your hosts, Husker fanatic Brian Knudsen, former Husker wide receiver Kenny Cheatham, and Husker recruiting guru Matt Sass.
What some consider a sacrifice, black shirts consider it an honor.
Being a black shirt stands for being the most physical.
It's relentless play, never taking a play off, and you're a game changer.
Pressure coming, Sullivan is wrapped up and sacked.
You're part of a family, you're out there as a unit, and you don't want to let that other person down.
Some people say, well, defense is nothing but a necessary evil. Well, the black shirts like to show people what evil really means.
Off the pump fake, in trouble and sacked. Back at the 33-yard line.
Everything else stands still. You know that you are that much better than the guy. It gives you chills when that happens, and that's what a black shirt is conditioned to do, is to go out there and know that you're the best and not expect anything but winning.
On 3rd and 8, Sullivan steps up, he's hit and sacked at the 6-yard line. The black shirts got home again. Jamari Butler. Sullivan off the pump, and the pocket collapses, and he's dropped for a loss. Back to the 7, 3rd down. Sullivan pressured, got away once, not twice. Sullivan behind, pressure coming, and he's sacked back inside the 30-yard line.
Against Northwestern, I wonder if Tony sends one again. It looks like he's got 5 on the line of scrimmage.
Here's the game, one timeout left on 4th down. Pressure, Sullivan in trouble and sacked. With the game on the line, Nebraska relies on the black shirts. 8th sack of the game.
It's something that nobody can take away from you. It's something that you earn. You're part of an elite group. It's like a fraternity.
The black shirts now have to realize that they are playing for every player that ever played their position. I'm a black shirt, and I always will be.
Nice. What's going on, everybody? Fall in, at attention. You are locked into another episode of the Husker Army Podcast, brought to you by the Husker Army Facebook fan page. Go check them out, guys. Awesome group. I am your host, Brian Knudsen. With me, as always, former Husker wide receiver Kenny Cheatham, a.k.a. KC. With us today, everybody, as our guest to recap the Northwestern win. He doesn't need much of an introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. Guys, if you know Husker football at all, you know this name. Former Husker Barron Miles joining the show, also now enlisted into the Husker Army Podcast. Barron, thank you for joining, my friend. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here. Glad to have me on. Thanks for having me on. I mean, it's a pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. I talked to you almost 2 years ago doing another podcast I was doing at the time, man. We had, I think it was like an hour and a half conversation of just your career in high school, then college, then going to the Canadian League and just becoming an ultimate star there and not being able to walk around that place without being bombarded for autographs. So we had a hell of a conversation, but today, I mean, we got to talk some Husker football, man, current Husker football. And they go in to Lincoln, they pull it out. It wasn't pretty by any means at all. Pull out 17-9 against Northwestern. Huskers offensively, it looks shaky, but defensively, when we get to that in a bit, my God, what an effort they showed. But Kenny, I mean, let's start off with you. We saw that the offense is struggling. Some folks are now already starting to harp that maybe it's time for Sims to come back in at quarterback. I've let my feelings be known about that one. So that's, to me, that's just a no-brainer. Look, Harburg's 4-1 as a starter. You can't deny what he's done as a starter. So, I mean, offensively, they got it done at least, right?
Yeah, I mean, they did what they could. They were stagnant a little bit. It was almost, I'm gonna say, it's like watching the worst of the two evils play yesterday. And one of the teams had to win. So, as I said from the first game of the year against Minnesota, when I think I tweeted it, I was like, our defense is good, and I feel sorry for them, but they aren't breaking. So they did what they were supposed to do. Now, granted, Northwestern did shoot themselves in the foot, but I think offensively, we're too late in the season to still be trying to find an identity. And I wouldn't bench him for Sims because of yesterday's game. We had our sample size of Sims the first couple games, and we saw that, unfortunately, those results were with the turnovers and clock management and things like that. But
yeah,
I mean, he's 4-1. Let's see if we go the rest of the season. And if you need a significant change, then make it. Or just a play or two to getting back on track, like you should have done with Sims earlier in the year, then you'd be okay.
I agree. Barron, I'm not sure how closely you've been following this whole season, but it's been quite the circus at the quarterback position to start the season. For where we started from where we're at now, it's night and day. It really is. I don't mean that to be a black-white thing, even though it kind of works out that way, I guess. But yeah, it is. It's completely different having Harburg in there. And he's 4-1. Sims was 0-2. I mean, you got to go with the hot hand still, right? Even though he had a shaky game.
Yeah, I mean, he put the W on the board, and that's all that matters and counts. And I think the years past, been in these same situations, and they come up losers. So you're winning right now. You're not going to change. You're going to stay this course and build confidence in your young quarterback or future. So he has a lot more years left compared to Sims. You're thinking about your future and moving forward. So that's what you got to do.
Yeah, with Harburg, I've said it in past episodes. Kenny, you've heard me say it. The biggest thing I love about Harburg is he embodies an old school Nebraska quarterback, not shying away from contact. He welcomes it. He takes it on, lowers the shoulder. I mean, you see it in his face. The guy just enjoys playing the game. He enjoys playing here, playing for the program, playing for the fans. I mean, it's ridiculous. That hit right there probably would have taken 6 out of 10 quarterbacks in today's college football out for the game. That's a concussion protocol right there. But the guy's just tough. That's what I can say about him. Yeah, is his throwing game, I'm not going to say horrible, but is it not up to par? Absolutely not. But we've won national titles with guys that couldn't throw worth a shit anyway. So I don't want to hear that. Oh, yeah, we'll go with that one. I'm going to go so far as to even say 95, and that team was dominant as shit.
Yeah.
Tommy, I think, would agree. He couldn't throw accurately to save his life.
I play defense,
Actually,
what I know.
I was going to say, maybe he won't agree. Tommy's still got that swagger to him, so maybe
yes, he
wouldn't
does.
agree.
Yes, he does.
But no, that's just what I'm saying. That's what I love about Harburg. He's old school. He takes on the contact. I love things like that. Barron, is that what do you think football's kind of gotten a little soft as far as players nowadays?
It has. I mean, the guys are bigger. They're trying to take better care of the athletes because of the size of these athletes nowadays. But as far as quarterbacks, as a GM, looking at it as a professional coach and thinking about money, that's your money running around the field. He's the quarterback. It's hard enough to find him, and now he's running around taking those hits, taking those blows. After a while, they take a toll. All right, do you have that backup ready to go that's going to keep you on status? Is it going to keep you on par to where he was or better? Do you have that guy in your arsenal? I don't know, but they better have it ready because eventually he's going to go down as well, and we're going to be back to square one. And you don't want to go back to square one and try to find somebody else and search. So that's the danger I see, and I like his toughness. I like that he's going, but he has to learn how to get down and protect himself as well.
Yeah, if there's one thing I'd say, when quarterbacks slide nowadays, I hate when they slide feet first because then the refs spot them back quite a ways from where they believe the slide started. So I've always believed if you dive head first, you know, yeah, you could take a knee or a cleat to the helmet, but you know what? At least you're not going to be stopped 2-3 yards short from where you originally wanted to be when you slid. I don't know. I'm just weird about that. I see that.
I know we give the quarterbacks a little leeway, crunch time, game on the line, things like that. We're going for it. You're going in there trying to get it. If the game is first quarter, things like that, and you're half a yard away and people are bearing down on you, slide. Don't take the hit. You don't need to take it that early. But if the game's on the line or something like that, yeah, of course you're going to go in there and try to get the first down. That's what you're going to do. Your competitive spirit is going to take over. But for the most part, you're trying to save yourself for the remaining of the game.
Yeah, like you say, you got 3 more quarters after that. So why take it early? Yeah.
Right. You don't want to take it down. You don't want to take those hits. They add up.
Yeah, and the way you don't take those hits is you run plays like this, and I think everybody was happy to see this. Option pass. I mean, you talk about a blast from the past, Malachi Coleman. We're going to talk about him in a moment. That young man is going to be electric by the time he's done here because that stride he's got is amazing. And nobody saw this play coming. And what a ball by Harburg. Probably the best ball he's thrown all year by far. In stride, man, that's what I'm saying. He's got that potential. And you just want to see it come out in its full glory. It seems like sometimes he's holding it back a little bit. But offensive line played a little bit better yesterday. Hallelujah. Ethan Piper goes down with an injury, number 57. We do know the issues we've had on that left side of the line. It's been no secret. It's been very public and in the eye of everybody watching college football. But he goes down, next man up comes in, and look, I'm not going to say that they played better without Piper, but I'm going to say things looked a little better without Piper. And I'm sorry to say that, but I know the young man's made a lot of starts for us, a lot, and he's put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this team. But young man, you've been getting beat and making mistakes for the last couple seasons pretty easy. We've all seen it. So, but yeah, Kenny, the offensive line, after that, it seemed like they looked more like a unit. Harburg had pockets. The running backs were having lanes. They were getting some push. It looked a little bit better to me.
Yeah, it looked like they flowed a little bit better. Unfortunately, we had the 2 go down with the injuries. Let's see what we look like going into this week coming up. And I would say it was one of those games, and I'm sure Barron can tell you, watching and coaching, it's one of those games that's hard to watch because you or be involved in because you're like, it's just like a game. It's just going. It's just going, and you're waiting for the big play. And I was looking for a big run. I know we started Emmett Johnson. I know they said Grant didn't start because of the fumbling issues.
Yep.
But and I know they tried Fleet the one time and he fumbled the ball.
Yeah.
I know that was a kid that had the big run against Michigan.
Right.
So it was a tough watch, man. And I actually, I don't watch the games, Brian. I normally watch them the next day. I said I'm not ruining my Saturdays anymore watching them live. So I actually sat and watched that one yesterday before I got in the streets. And it was, they played. It was interesting. That's all I'm going to say. It was interesting. He had time in the pocket on the deep ball, but to Coleman, but it was interesting.
Well, everybody bid on that one, though. Everybody thought that was an option for sure. Mm-hmm. And we all know 9 times out of 10, Harburg's not pitching the ball. So thank God it was an option pass because, man, and Coleman blew right by that defender. That poor defender got flat-footed, and it was over. Oh, I loved it. But last thing on Harburg, as far as the stats go, I mean, it was definitely nothing to write home about at all. I mean, look, you look at these stats, you're going to think there's no way this team won this game. Not with quarterback stats like that. 8 of 17 for 85 yards, 2 picks, no touchdowns, but he had the 16 carries for 72 yards and the 1 touchdown. So, look, what he lacks in the air, I think he more than makes up for on the ground and as a leader on that field. It's just what I'm seeing. Now, Barron looking at those stats, what do you think, man? You wouldn't think that's a winning quarterback, right?
I just think it's the timing. Young guy, young kid. I mean, he's still learning the game. He's still getting used to guys running just as fast or faster than he is. And when he throws the ball, those guys are running and covering guys just as fast as his receivers. And as a defensive guy, that's what I'm looking for. What's his timing like? Is he a little short? Is he a little late? Is he waiting for that guy to get wide open? If he's waiting for him to get wide open, okay, we got time. So we could delay blitz him. We could just step on his toes to rush him a little bit faster. So defenses are doing things like that to him because he is young. So you can't be too hard on him because he got to learn the hard way by going through the system. And he got to go through the process and he got to grow. Are those best stats? No. But the bottom line is he has the W at the end. And like you said, he has 4 wins since he's been starting. So, yeah, they're not the best stats, but at the same time, he's winning. And he's a winning product, and that's all that matters right now. You're hoping that he grows into a dominant player where those stats become lopsided the other way.
Yeah, you see that too, Kenny. I mean, granted, back in your guys' day, the quarterback, his rushing stats. Oh, jeez. You're like, a lot of running backs wish they had those. So, I mean, it's not like he's putting up glory day running stats. But to me, the passing stats kind of seem on par with the glory days. But
just minus the interceptions.
Right. Yeah. See, we all knew that was coming sooner or later. That was coming. We knew he couldn't stay clean the whole time.
Yeah.
But do you kind of agree with Barron there that, that he's learning and he's just going to keep getting better and we could start seeing those type of old day type stats?
Sometimes that's the best way to learn how to play. It's baptism by fire.
Yes.
I mean, you see, now, trust me, I'm not comparing him to this legend, but Peyton Manning learned at Tennessee after the quarterback got hurt against UCLA. It was baptism by fire. Peyton Manning learned in the NFL right away, baptism by fire. I'm just using that as an example. And sometimes playing young is the way you learn how to handle those situations. When guys aren't playing and you put them in a situation to perform and they've never experienced the heat, you're going to have all kind of problems. So right now he's playing, he's learning, he's making mistakes. He's seeing where he can correct those mistakes and seeing what he can do better as a football player and where he can grow. And I think his growth is going to be good. It's just getting everything all in place. And I think by the end of the year, he should have it all in place. Hopefully in next year, going into next year, if he's going to be the starter, however it plays out, we should expect to see much more advancement in his game, in his decision-making and play.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep, I agree there. I mean, as far as, finishing up with Harburg, I had to throw in his touchdown run, of course. I mean, for God's sakes, guys, we only had 2 touchdowns. So, but look, they did enough to get the win. We've been saying it the last, I think, 3 games now. It's not pretty. But look, our glory days, guys, things didn't look pretty in a lot of games. We didn't just go in and roll over everybody.
We thought we was. We thought we was. That was the difference. Every game, we was like, no, it didn't matter. It didn't matter who was playing. We was going to win. Just a matter of, okay, at some point in this game, we're going to take it over.
Right.
That's the biggest difference.
Yeah, I forgot to put in Emmett Johnson's stats. If I had to remember right, though, I believe he had 14 or 17 carries for, I believe it was just one more yard than Harburg had. So it was 14 or 17 carries for 73 yards. No touchdowns, of course, but, I mean, got to give the young man credit. I got one of his highlights. This run he had in the third quarter, late in the third quarter, when we were backed up in our own territory there. I mean, the young man's got speed. He doesn't have a lot of size. They've got him listed at 5'9", 190, and I think they're probably being a bit, or excuse me, 5'9", 200, and I think they're being a bit generous with that because even Joel Class said there's no way this young man's 200 pounds. There's no way. So they're being awfully generous, I think, in the stat page. But he's got speed. He's got wiggle. He's able to get around people. I think you give him another 2 steps on that run, he's gone. So we can see the speed development out of this young man. And I think if he just sticks with us, he's going to be something special here. And as far as Anthony Grant goes, I got to agree with the coaching staff. You start having problems holding on to that ball, you can't expect to be the starter or climb up in the depth chart. You just can't. Those are mistakes at critical times that we cannot afford anymore. And like you said, Barron, we're finding ways to finally win these types of games. The last 5 years or more, Kenny, we've said it. We sound like broken records, dude. These are games we'd have lost easily the last 5 years. Easily.
Yeah.
We'd have blown it in the last 30 seconds somehow.
Yep.
We somehow would have gave up a touchdown, 2-point conversion, then would have screwed something up on the kickoff and gave him the ball at like the 15 for an easy field goal to walk off and win. It'd have been the most Nebraska thing ever.
Yeah, it's bad news Bears, man. We've been the bad news Bears the last couple of years. And like I said, it's been a hard pill to swallow, man. It's been the gut punch. It's been depressing. It's been tough. It's been tough. So, like I said, the game was ugly, but I'm like, oh, they won. I'll take the win rather than taking a loss like like the Minnesota game. That is what we were used to for the last couple of years.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
Am I right, B?
You're
That
right.
is what we were used to.
Yes, I agree.
And that is what a lot of us former players and I'm stuttering, but I don't stutter. This is what a lot of us former players see, and we get, like I said before, we get sick to our stomach because we're like, how? Why? What are you thinking? And it goes back to what Barron said, we believe we were going to win. Remember when I said, Brian, I never went into a game thinking we were going to lose. It was, let's get this over with. Let's get back home so we can clown and do what we do. And that's it. That was it.
You guys had shit to do after games, man.
Yeah.
You couldn't be bothered with worrying about losing. Just get the W, get the hell out, and go enjoy the nightlife.
I never went into a game with a question mark. Ooh, we're playing so and so. Never. I've only went into games like, oh, this stadium is nice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, and even though I didn't play because I re-separated my shoulder. Oh, that's the Florida Gators. Oh, the helmets are pretty. Oh, Colorado Stadium is nice. It has the red brick. Oh, Missouri Stadium is far from the school. Stuff like that. But just going into a game like, oh, we're playing Texas. Like, man, let's go out here and bust these boys' ass and going on about our business. You know what I mean? So, different mindset. So hopefully they can get over that. Oh, are we gonna win? Let's not make a mistake hump that we've been used to seeing. So
Wasn't worried about mistakes.
yeah,
Already playing.
right.
I was gonna say, Barron, when you guys played on defense back then, what did Coach McBride tell you about mistakes? What was his philosophy on making mistakes?
I don't think that wasn't it. We was just playing. He would tell you what. He walked into the defensive back room, Charlie McBride, and he said, "Corners, Barron, Tyrone, y'all gonna win or lose the game for us. We're going to heat them up. It's on you. Y'all got to play man to man. Do your job, and walk out the room." That was it.
Oh shit.
That was it. And it was like, all right, hey, they're not throwing the ball over here. Tyrone come back. They're not throwing it over here. All right, let's go to work then. That was it. Wasn't a big deal. Wasn't a big promotion of don't mess up. Don't you know what you're supposed to do? You had a black shirt on, and if you didn't do your job, you wasn't going to have a black shirt on. And it was that plain and simple. It was straight to the point.
And I'm glad you said that because Brian knows where I'm going with this. I don't know if you watched the interview with Kareem and Zoe Brink last week. Did you watch it, B?
Oh.
No, I missed that. We was getting our butt whooped.
You gotta go back and watch that one.
It was a couple things. Kareem talked about how he lost his black shirt, but he said, "I'm the only dude with a black shirt with 2 numbers, 29 and 1." Zoe Brink pretty much said this. It's all mirrored information, or what I say, stuff that's being said. If you look at it and you go back to you guys and to us offensively, the words are going to be pretty much verbatim.
Right.
Of what was expected. We knew our job. We knew what we had to do, how we played for one another, and how we tried to minimize mistakes and how we held each other accountable.
Right.
One of the things, because you said it's a black shirt, what I really want to get on is what Zoe Brink said, is when I asked about the black shirts. And he said something, and I told Brian, I said, man, I'm not even a defensive player, and I felt that in my soul. He was like, I asked about the black shirts and this and that, and he said, Kenny, he said they're black shirts, but he said it's commercialized now.
Yep.
And he said, I say that now because they're not learning it from Monty Kiffin and Coach McBride.
Right.
So what we've done will never be duplicated.
Right.
And I literally was like, oh, man. You know what I mean? I was like, damn. It's true. How do you feel about that? Because when you just said we're black shirt, we knew what we needed to do.
Right.
Do you think they really grasp what needs to be done?
I don't think so, because if I didn't do my job well enough or to a standard, I wasn't going to have that job. It was that simple. I wasn't going to have my job, or I wasn't going to have the black shirt. When I walk back into the locker room, I see that yellow shirt hanging in the locker room.
Yellow shirts.
You dreaded that. When you walked into the locker room, especially if you think you had a subpar game or something like that, and you're like, I was kind of shaky. I don't know. You question yourself. But when you go to work every Saturday and you out there playing, you like, I put my best effort out there. I did everything I possibly could do. You wasn't worried about it. So the work that needed to be done, you knew the standard. You knew the standard every single time you went out there. And I don't think nowadays, even where I'm at now, these young men, the roster is so small that they know they're on the roster. So they're like, if I mess up here, it's okay. I get away with it. I get away with it. And you hate that. And I don't want them to be fearful of their job. I want them to understand and say, hey, I know my job so well, I'm willing to help you, because if you're just as good as me, we're going to be national champions at the end of the year. And that's the bottom line. That's what you're hoping for. We competing, and we compete every day. I love going to practice because I knew y'all was trying to throw the ball up in the stands because y'all scored on us on defense. I'm like, as the scout team scoring, Charlie Bright, don't let them score. They won't throw the ball up there because we get mad. He's like, don't let them score then in practice.
Right.
So that was the challenge in carrying that weight, carrying all that energy and that passion. You had no choice, because the standard was you step on the field, you better be ready to play. And if you're not ready to play, you sit on the sideline. And that was what it was.
And to me, it feels like these guys are finally starting to buy into rules philosophy, and that's the RDV. Relentless, discipline, violent. And these guys are really starting to show that they're sick and tired of being the black shirts, but not being the black shirts. They've got a black shirt. They're called black shirts, but they weren't playing like black shirts at all. We've known this for years. Been a very long time that I can remember a defense of ours like this.
Well, defense has been the defense we had a couple years ago was really good.
Yeah, they kept us in a lot of games.
I would say we have, well, we're still not, but playing what we would consider toughness on defensively. We're still not there offensively, but toughness defensively on the Nebraska side of the defensive side of the ball. Yeah. I've been saying for the last 4 years, Brian, when are we going to get some pressure from our linemen? Wow. That was a staple for 40, 50 years in Nebraska football beat.
Yeah. Yes, and I didn't think it was possible with a 3-3-5.
The pressure from the linemen so you guys could do what you needed to do and wanted to do and handle your business, because we knew we had some people coming at them like pit bulls unleashed from the cave with the ears pinned back, coming toward that quarterback. And it's been years since we've had pressure on quarterbacks from the defensive side of the ball. And we have it this year. We have 8 sacks yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're leading the nation in sacks after yesterday. We've got it, because that's our second game this season with 8 sacks. The other one was Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 16 sacks right there in just 2 games. I know there was a game or two. I believe Louisiana Tech, we didn't get one. I doubt we had one against Michigan. So there was 2 games that kind of hurt the average a bit. But, I mean, look, they do half that in the rest of their games. There's no way you can't say they're not leading the nation in sacks. Right. So it's ridiculous. Now, the last couple things I'll say about the offense. The other shining point, of course, was Malachi Coleman getting his first start. He looked pretty decent. I mean, look, 1 catch, 44 yards, 1 touchdown. As a freshman, your first start, and you get your first catch, your first touchdown, your first start. I mean, you can't ask for much more of a day. That's like what you dream of as a player to get for your first start. And as I showed before, and I guess I'll show it again. I mean, it's worth it. The option pass to Coleman for 44 yards. I mean, it's a dime by Harburg, but it's a beaut of a route by Coleman. And those strides, look at those long legs, guys. That guy's going to burn somebody a lot before he's done here. So, I mean, Kenny, wide receiver, man, freshman. What do you think we saw out of this young man just in 1 play?
I thought it was a good play. He was wide open. He got behind the DB. I remember when I watched it, quarterback looked like he was sideways and he was watching the backfield. He ran right past him and Harburg threw it right over him. Called it touchdown. I was glad he caught it. First thing I was saying was don't overthink it. Do not overthink it. Because I knew how big the moment was for him. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. I was like, oh, young brother, don't overthink it. Please catch the ball. So and he caught it. I was like, good. So, it was a big play, good moment for him. Hopefully that builds his confidence. But then we have to see what they're going to do with him with the rest of the year. Yeah. I'm sure Barron is aware of the new red shirt rules. Are they going to let him play to the max and then red shirt him technically? Right. Or what are they going to do? Or are they going to just have him play? Because then you look at it and say, well, did you waste a year? You know what I mean? It's on that line. It's on that line. So, but if they think he can do something going forward, let him play.
I hope the young man is hungry and eager not to just settle for that 1 catch and that 1 touchdown. I hope he's going back saying, hey, I could have had more. Hey, coach, I think I could do that a lot more times. And that's what you want. That's your building block. That's your foundation, especially with him being a freshman. And you hoping he's coming back saying that to you. I'm pretty sure guys in Omaha are talking to him and saying, all right, man, you're the guy. Hold on. Let me get my feet wet. Let me get myself under me. And then I can establish myself to be here for a long period of time and take it even farther. And that's what you're hoping for. That's the foundation. That's what being the Husker is all about. Saying, it's not just one time I'm going to do this. It's being consistent in what I do. And I think he'd be able to do that, especially just hearing about this young man. He's a fine young man, so I think he'll be able to do that.
That's the type of guy you liked playing against back in your day, wasn't it, Barron? That tall, lanky type guy with some long strides.
I love the long.
Look at that as a big challenge.
I love the long strides. Easy to read their route. Doesn't take too long to get in and out of their route.
Kenny, you brought that up, man. You said who was it that told the Barron story
That was me.
It was you. That's
That was
right.
me.
That's
I
right.
said, Barron told me, I told it to tell the story, B. I tell you when I was a freshman, and everybody always laughed, and I say, look, man, I said, you got to understand what I was coming into. I was used to being in high school, being bigger, stronger, faster than everyone. And I laugh a lot of times because I tell people, they say, well, Ken, I said, y'all really don't understand. I had to totally change my game when I got to Nebraska. And I said, one of the learning points for me was, I said, I was lining up and Barron told me, you're getting ready to run a curl. I saw you count your lines where you were going. And I literally went, damn. And I said, oh, this is different. And matter of fact, and it was B. I tell the story when I was like, B, something you and Tyrone told me. He was like, Chief, everybody here was the man.
Yep.
And I was like, makes sense. We think of big programs, you say,
yeah,
makes sense. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't do the Ken, you got to be at 9 yards on the curl with them.
Right.
And run 8 or run 7 or run 10. So my first year was learning the nuances of it, because I got away with that stuff in high school. Man, I was, like I told Brian, I was playing first half of games. I was out. I had 2-3 catches, 160 yards, and I'd be chilling on the sideline or something. You know, whatever. Then, or I just might say, well, let me just play defense, and then just be doing what I do on defense. But it was that type of stuff. Like Barron said, the long strides. It's funny. That also makes me laugh because I asked Barron, who's one of his toughest players he played one time, and he looked at me. I don't know if you remember, because I remember a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And B said, man, Chief, I was glad when AC Tellison went down.
I remember that.
He said, I was glad when AC Tellison went down. He said, the rest of them was easy. He said, I was glad. He said, it was a problem. I was glad when he went down. I said, okay. Here's Miami.
Yeah.
Which receiver's birthday was it that night? Was it him or was it Chris T. Jones?
Probably Chris T. I don't know. I remember Barron said, hey, he was glad when AC hurt that shoulder. Barron said, man, he was proud.
That was different. All the rest of them, the rest of them was there, long strides. I can go against the tall receivers, 2 long strides. I trust my quickness over theirs. Get him out of the break.
Showed. You even out-jumped them in that game. So, I mean, that's ridiculous.
Most tall receivers think they can get the ball anyway, and they don't even think I'm going to jump. So that's how I win most of them. They don't anticipate me jumping. I beat them up. First man up wins.
That's true.
Hell yeah. I love that mentality. All right, last thing as far as the offense goes is just their finalized stats. 248 total yards, 85 through the air, 163 on the ground. I believe I saw we were like second or third in the nation in rushing yards average per game. I mean, that's crazy. That's old school Nebraska again. 3 total fumbles, 1 by Kemp, 1 by Fleeks, 1 by Harburg. Didn't lose any, thank God, because we had the 2 INTs. This game could have gone royally south very quickly if it wasn't for one little factor, and that's the damn black shirts. They were put in bad position after bad position, and they stood up to the task. They answered the call. They heard the bell. They said no. I mean, guys, let's talk some black shirts. Barron, I'll start with you. Being a former black shirt, man, that had to look inspiring to see a spark, a flicker, just resurgence, if you will, of what the black shirts once were.
It was. I think it was refreshing just to see them dominate the line of scrimmage, them to play on the other side of the ball. When they snapped the ball, you saw red in their backfield, and they can't get started. So that in itself demolished any offensive coordinator, because they're like, we can't even get started. This doesn't even make sense. The quarterback wasn't even taking a true 3-step drop. He was just standing there catching the ball thinking, I got to get rid of it. And I think Tony White had a sense of that and stepped on his toes. He ran like a bare front, 5-man front, and he dropped somebody. They only rushed 4. Seemed like they were rushing 5 or 6, but it was only 4. and they was getting the interior guys, the two guards and the center, looked like they was getting their shoulders turned. Soon they got their shoulder turned, it was over. They beat the back. They was in the backfield. So that was ridiculous, but great on their part because they kept it up. They normally you would start that. I think when they started getting long runs, I think Tony White must have assumed that they was going to pass the ball because they didn't stack the box like they were doing. And then they got a couple gashes on us. And then Tony White just came back and started doing the same thing. He loaded the box up and he shut it down. So I think he realized, like, okay, we're going to stay in his face, stay in the quarterback's face, make him beat us. And because he couldn't throw the ball, but the deep ball downfield. So he was just catching it and throwing it. They just needed to prevent that a couple of times to allow 3 field goals when they got a short field is awesome. You can't ask for anything else better than that. Especially in this day and age, it's tough to play defense, let alone, I mean, offense has every advantage. Defense is always backed up. There's some rule to tell us we can't do something on defense. And to see what they did backed up like that, I was impressed. Yeah, that was good. That was some good football.
Yeah, Kenny, you bring it up all the time, man. Pressure. We haven't seen it in so long. And, you know, when you brought it up before the season started, I was like, shit, a 3-3-5, yeah, like the hell that's going to happen this year. But how much more wrong could I have been? Because, look, I knew we had a good linebacking personnel. I knew we had decent guys up front. But you couldn't have told me at the beginning of the season they were going to play like this, like the damn hair was on fire, because that linebacking core, and with Reimer being back in the lineup yesterday, that helped a lot. That brought a lot of leadership back onto that field. I mean, I looked up defensive stats, and I was going to start picking guys out just for individual, and I couldn't. I really couldn't. You had guys on there making, I think we had 6 or 7 guys with over 5 tackles themselves, and I'll get to the field generals later in the day, a new little stupid segment, but we'll call it, it's basically our players of the week. So we'll get to that in a bit. But I mean, this defense, it's pressure. I can't believe the amount of push and pressure we're getting with a 3-3-5. Now, like you said, Barron, a lot of times they were lining up with 4 down linemen, but you're doing that with one guy being a linebacker.
Correct.
So you're getting that quick jump off the edge, and we already saw that in the very first sack. I mean, it was evident. I mean, boom, and nobody even touched him off the edge.
No, get the mismatch, get the speed on him, which is great. Who is number 2?
Oh, Henrich, Nick Henrich.
Henrich did a great job, especially when they got outside the pocket and they thought they had a big play, an explosion play, and he shut it down. He did good for me. He stood out for me in that game. He stood out. Yeah. That was impressive.
The only highlight I don't have that I wish I would have grabbed, and it wasn't actually a highlight for us, it was the big pass play and the big run that Northwestern had. The 2 big plays that they pulled on our defense. I believe it was Hartzog that got burned on the pass play.
Mm-hmm.
But then what a recovery to run him down and get him before the end zone. And then the defense does their job, kept him out, forced a field goal. And it was the same with the big run they had. He looked like he was going to be gone, and I forget who chased him down, but damn, he came out of nowhere.
I think it was number 12.
Number 12.
Yeah.
And I can't for the life of me off the top of my
head. Is that Brown?
I can't off the top of my head. I can't think of who it is. Whoever it was, they saved our asses.
Yes.
Yeah.
So look, there are 2 unsung heroes in that game right there because they saved 12 points, probably 14 with the extra points.
See, me looking, I don't know, I'm not in their meeting rooms or whatever, but either 12's going to get congratulated because he ran them down, or he didn't fill the gap in the first place where he should have been filling. So either way, as I look,
that's Omar Brown. Omar Brown.
Yeah. There we go.
So no, it was good. It was a good job.
Yeah, it's like Barron said with the pressure, and to see him back there, and this is what I've been saying for the last couple of years. If we're not getting the pressure up front from the line or the backers, you're putting a lot of strain on the secondary. You're asking them, one, to hold the coverage longer than what they should be. Average football play, if I'm correct, is 2.5 seconds. Now you're asking them to just sit back there and run with someone who's got free reign to run straight while they're backpedaling to get into their hips turn to follow the person for 4, 5, and 6 seconds. You're going to eventually get burnt. Yep. Then outside of that, the fatigue is going to set in. But once the line is getting the pressure on it, you're making that quarterback have to think fast, make his decisions, go through his progressions fast, and get rid of the ball. So it keeps not only them fresh, but the pressure on there, it changes the way the offense flows. And we haven't had that in years.
Right.
In years. So the defense is a little bit more fresher to recover to make that tackle after getting burned. They're not in the box getting worn down because the other team is just running the ball on us and they're having to come up and get tackles. No defensive back should have, unless you're just a pure tackler like my man Winfield when he was with Ohio State and in Minneapolis. A quarterback who likes to tackle,
right?
They should be at about 4 or 5, and that's high end to me.
Yeah.
Tackle. That means your defensive, they get too many passes caught on them, or you're running on them like crazy, and the tackles are happening downfield. So with that pressure, it's changed the way we can scheme and play defensively. And they look better, and they're performing. We've been wanting that. That's what we need.
By far. Yeah. You don't ever want your leading tacklers on your defense to be a corner or safety, ever. No. I mean, a linebacker, yeah, of course, that's expected. I mean, they should be.
That's something my mother knows, who's a sports buff. let me tell you what she said when we played Tennessee in '97. Barron probably don't know, but one of my closest childhood friends, my teammate from Pop Warner, is Terry Fair. Went to the University of Tennessee, played for Detroit Lions. I think Terry had, because we were running the ball down the throat so much, he must have had about 15 to 16 tackles. It was something high. So after the game, when he went to see my mom and pop, my mom said, "Baby, you had to do a lot of tackling out there today. That's not normal." She's like, "That's not normal for no defensive back."
Right.
So I know you're tired because all I kept hearing was Terry Fair on the tackle, Terry Fair on the tackle. She said, "They were running the ball on y'all ass, weren't they?" And he just started laughing. So yeah, I mean, my mom though, that was just classic, man. So yeah, just the truth. Just the truth.
But it was also it was good to see that with the 4-man pressure, that they was still stepping on the quarterback toes, making them turtle, making them have hot feet. That's great for the D coordinator because he knows now, hey, I don't have to send secondary pressure. I don't have to send 6-man, 5-man to always pressure the quarterback when they was beating their O-line with 4-man or a 3-man at sometimes. And that was good to see. It's more relaxing, especially you get in a game like that. I like the fact that he stayed on top of it and he kept it going because it's easy to get away from it saying, okay, enough's enough. Let's let the dogs off. And he kept it on.
Yeah, and it seems like the players getting really good at what Tony White's coaching them, disguising blitzes, disguising coverages. They'll show that they're bringing the house, then back off. Right. Or they'll show they're bringing the house, and they bring the damn house.
Right.
That's kind of how we got burned on that run play, though.
It is, but again, it's just knowing your gap. At that point, if you're looking at it, again, I'm pretty sure somebody's getting chewed out right now, looking at it on film. But in the public eye, the coach's fault. You know, it was what it was, and I think those things happen. They make plays too sometimes, and it happens.
I saw a lot of holding.
They still gave up three. They only gave up 3 field goals.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they kept them out of the end zone. I mean, you can't ask much more of your defense other than, hey, get us a shutout. I was kind of hoping for that with Northwestern, but, you know, I was back in my mind. I'm like, yeah, the chances of that, something will happen. They'll get at least 3.
Yeah.
And the pressure they put on them right here to seal the game with 1.5 minutes left is 4th and 16. There's Hutmacher in the middle. I'm not sure who else came from the left and right, but that quarterback turned around and He just saw nothing but red. I guarantee if he said anything, it was holy shit.
Yeah.
Because as soon as he turned around, there was nowhere to go. You couldn't go middle, you couldn't go left, you couldn't go right. Three guys just came together and buried him to seal it.
Yeah.
He didn't seem comfortable. He didn't seem comfortable at all. So.
All day.
Yeah.
It was immediate. It seemed like this was the very first sack of the day. I mean, this is their first possession. This is 3rd down and 12. And his internal clock was screwed from their first possession.
Yeah. He was not comfortable at all.
You got to turn a team one-dimensional, right, Barron?
You do. I love it. Don't give it to me. I'm coming all day then. I'm going to blitz you to death.
Now here's my question on that, though. Okay. Back in our heyday, our glory days, guys, we were basically one-dimensional. Everybody in the country, in the world, knew what we were going to do offensively. How the hell did we create such a dynasty throughout the 70s, 80s, and 90s when everybody knew what we were going to do, but they just couldn't stop it? I mean, because defensively, you need to turn a team one-dimensional to win a game. That's your goal.
I would just say power football. No, that's cliche. I would just say wearing people's asses out. I always tell you the hardest scrimmages were playing against our defense. And I'll say that because they would get us, we would get them. Equally yoked on both sides of the ball. And I told you, Brian, I said, our defensive backs knew we were going to cut them.
Right.
That was the drill we were going against another. He said, so they were used to it. Other teams wouldn't be prepared for it. So at the beginning of the game, this is what you would see and hear. Blah, 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 blah. Into the second quarter, getting chop blocked, they're running from the chop block. If you go back and look at old games, there's thousands of yards, hundreds of yards that our running backs got that are in their stat line because of us chop blocking and defensive backs physically running from getting chop blocked. And you'll start seeing they're dodging. You know, our defensive backs knew. So our scrimmages were like, oh, these dudes know we're going to double read on this one because they're coming up. So, you know, it was the mind game thing. Or this dude knew the tight end's going to do a 2 combo because where he said, you know what I'm saying? So it was stalemate stuff. But them other teams, they knew we were one-dimensional. But when you get worn down, you're going to get fatigued. And we were going to be relentless with it. That's just how we played at all positions, defensively and offensively. We were going to keep coming. We weren't going to stop. We weren't going to get hit in the mouth and say, oh, uh-oh. No, we're going to hit you back in the mouth, then hit you some more. So it was just wearing people down. But having the great skill players to do it. That's what I think a lot of people don't give Nebraska credit on. And I'm sure Barron can say this. When I walked into it, offensively and defensively, as a receiver, I had professional football players across from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was different. I'm sure when Barron walked in, he had professional football players. I literally had professional football players across from me. And you started, oh, now we're, you know, you knew. And it was a different mindset of let's go get it.
Yeah.
Let's go get it. And it showed on the field. So, and I tell it to people all the time. I say, Ken, I say, look, I had Barron and Tyrone.
Yeah.
Then I had a young Mike Mint. I had K-Mall. I had a young Book, OG yellow shirt.
Yeah.
I had E. Stokes.
Yep.
You know, I had all these. I had Tony V. I had NFL players on this side of the ball. You get what I'm saying? A defensive lineman is walking in and he's going up against NFL players on the offensive line of the ball and tight ends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Running back. So it was just different.
Grant Winston, Tomich, they're backups.
Yeah.
They're backups.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell people all the time. Yeah,
they're on the scout team.
They laugh when I tell them, you know, Vander Bosch and Mike Brown and we're all on kickoff team.
Right.
It just blows their mind. Blows their mind.
They don't understand that.
I say Deep Polk and all these. I said it was kickoff team. Them dudes on the kickoff team. They went in, but they were kickoff team. You had layers and layers of dudes who could go.
Right.
And you know, get it done. But we just wanted it more than everybody else.
Grant Wistrom was a gunner on the kickoff team when he
Had the
was a
starters out
freshman
there.
or sophomore.
Freshman, yeah. They had our starters out there and
Yeah.
lead main backups. It was different.
It was different. But that was that was the makeup of it. I mean, you couldn't take on. He's like, no, I ain't getting out. I ain't hurt. Don't worry about it. I'm good. I gotta stay in because the next man behind me is just as good or better because he's waiting his turn. And that's what it was all about. That was the difference I saw. I saw that as a difference. And especially the receivers and everybody that went against us, they tried to kill us. And we did the same. That was the thing. They was like, I'm scoring today. It didn't matter. And it was a challenge and I loved it. And game day was easy. It was like we got guys in camp that's doing more than this. Let's go. So it was good.
Yeah, last thing to say about the defense, I guess, would be the stats. The funny thing is Northwestern,
They have more, yeah.
They have more yards.
Yeah.
We had 248. We allowed 257, 176 through the air. That's even where myself's kind of wondering. I think that's where if we've got a real weakness on defense, that's it, is our secondary right now. But they're not bad by any means at all. They're just the only ones really getting yards put on them. So you can't fault the guys. They're doing the best they can. 81 rushing yards allowed, only 3 of 15 on third down and 0 for 1 on fourth. So getting a turnover on downs, always great. They did it twice against Illinois, or maybe 3 times if I'm not mistaken. Jesus, that game was ridiculous as well for them.
Yeah.
Good Lord, I give these guys so much credit. The stats for this game didn't look great, but I mean, the rushing yards allowed, they're relentless, guys. They are flat out relentless and won't give anything.
Yeah, that's good. I think the other stat that might be missing up there is the penalties.
That is very true. We had, I believe, 3 for 30. They had 8 for 75, I think.
And I believe it was in those crucial situations of when the ball was turned over and they had it, then they get a penalty, take them back a little bit. I guess. I don't know. I think so. I think that's what I saw.
I think you're absolutely right, because when it was happening to them, I was thinking to myself, this is the shit that's usually happening to us.
Yeah.
The last decade, this is what we're used to seeing happening to us. The phantom holding, the phantom clip, phantom everything. It didn't matter. We just finally it's happening to someone else, and unfortunately, it's Northwestern. I do respect that program. So even with all the crap they're going through, I still respect what Fitzgerald had built there in his time. Mm-hmm. So you can't say anything. Well, I guess you can't say bad things if you want. But my opinion, I don't know the man personally. I can only tell you about what I see on TV and hear.
Right.
And me, respectful dude. Always loved the game. Always respected the teams he went up against. So, yeah, Fitzy, I still got respect for you, man. If you knew anything about what was going on, though, not good, buddy. Not good. All right, so new segment for this week. It's pretty quick, pretty simple, and then we'll get into Husker Twitter. Kind of talked to Ken from Gen Red Pod. They started doing the 3-tweeted thing for Twitter after we started doing our Husker Twitter thing. We talked about it. He asked if it was all right to monkey off of us for that one, and I had to ask to say for Players of the Week because I couldn't believe we weren't doing that. But shit's been pretty bad lately that it was kind of hard to pick before. So now we're going to call this the Field Generals of the Week. I figure we'll just keep with the Army theme, and there it is down at the bottom. I will pull up the graphic. There it is. I think it was pretty easy to figure out. The Polar Bear Nash Hutmacher on defense, and Heinrich Haarberg, the number 1 quarterback for Nebraska as he was named. I got to fix that graphic, though. I didn't realize our logo was going to cut off the K in week, and it looks like Field Generals of the We. So definitely going to have to change that graphic a little bit. I got to tweak that a tad bit. So congratulations, Nash, Heinrich, guys are the Field Generals of the Week for offense and defense. That's pretty quick to get through. I mean, Kenny, would you agree that I guess those would be the guys? Harburg did account for both touchdowns offensively, and Hutmacher just created havoc on that defense all day long.
Offensively, yes. For me, defensively, I would say it was the front, whatever defense they're running, the line and the backers.
Yeah.
Okay. So Kenny's going to give it as a group, as a unit.
Yeah. Well, actually, the entire unit. I mean, honestly, let me switch that.
I thought about it.
The entire
I thought about
unit.
doing that, and I thought it was kind of a cop-out if I did it for our first one.
Nah, hell no. It's the entire defensive unit. We got to give credit where credit is due. They have held us down this entire year, and my hat goes off to them. So,
amazing.
I said at the one game that somebody need to go over there and talk to Sims from that defense and give him an earful while I was playing that one game. Say, look here, bro, knock the shit off. So sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. It is what it is.
As far as defense goes, Barron, I mean, probably agreeing with Kenny on this one, right? Because like I said, that's the way I wanted to go in my heart, but I was like,
I'm partial with Kenny on the fact of he went too far with the secondary in there. I would have went with the front seven.
B, they only gave up the long pass, B. Come on now.
Yeah.
Again, I'm a DB. The standards are high.
There it is.
The standards are high. That shouldn't even been a case. It shouldn't have, especially with the pressure they've been putting on them.
Yeah.
They know they're just going to throw the ball up. As a DB coach, I'm pretty sure Coop is telling him, hey, only thing they can do to beat us is just throw it up.
Throw deep. Yeah, throw it up.
And that's it. And all I had to do as a DB is back my butt up and play behind him, play top down, and finish the play. So I would give it to the front. The DBs, I might leave out, let them get a little bit more hungry. Say, okay.
Can't argue that.
Yeah, that's all.
If you go back and look at that long pass play, too, there was pressure on that quarterback again, on that play. And if he held that ball any longer, and I'm talking 0.1 longer, he was about to get lit up. I mean, he couldn't have waited, period, any longer at all. Because two guys were barreling in.
And I see a Barron said, like you said, Brian, he did do that because when he threw it, I said, he just throwing some shit up.
That's what I said. Yeah.
And then I said, damn, how the hell when I see the ball going, I'm like, where the hell is the DB? So you're right.
There you go.
He's like 6 or 7 yards behind. He had to slow down to catch it. If he didn't slow down, it was 6.
Right.
It was 6. Yeah, you're right.
Shouldn't even been a question. Yeah, shouldn't even been a question.
And you're probably right, Barron. Hartzog probably is going to get, a little bit of flack for getting burned on that, but then a little bit of redemption for being able to recover, chase him down, and keep him out of the end zone. And the defense did their job after that. So
yeah,
it is what it is. You got to give them at least one, right? One big play.
No.
All right. Yeah, there's a typical black shirt talking right there, man. That sounds like Bernard Thomas right now. Bernard Thomas will tell you a win is not a win. We want to win by 50. That's flat out his mentality. That dude is awesome and crazy.
Destroy them.
He's supposed to. Yeah, let's destroy him. You're right.
I agree. All right. So there's our field generals of the week. Hopefully I can, remember to do it again next week. I have forgotten many things on this show. It's been painfully obvious, but we'll move on to the Husker Twitter. And guys, this is just where I'll go. I'll pull random tweets from Husker fans after the game is over just to kind of get a little taste of what they're feeling, what their reactions are, where their headspace is. So, and then I just give our takes on it. See if we agree, see if we disagree. See if this fan's completely out of their damn mind, which we've had on here. But I usually try and keep it positive. Usually. There's a few. But first one's going to come from Shabba. At least I hope I'm saying that correctly. At OG Shabba _Racks. And I had to pull it. Says, I love this defense. 3 exclamation points. Badass mother effers. I love y'all energy. Look, he's right. Isn't he?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
He's right. It's a good building block.
Yeah.
Can't stay here. Can't stay here. No, we got to go. That's Northwestern.
Yeah.
We got to
I
keep
agree
going.
with that.
We got to keep going. That's what we're supposed to have done.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, we left points on the field.
Yep.
We left points on the field. We know we did.
But even defensively, those balls that was thrown up, if we was in better position, those are takeaways for us.
Yep.
We getting the ball back to our offense who needed the ball back. So as defense, yes, we created havoc on the quarterback. We did all those things, but now we got to turn the focus to taking the ball away to give it back to our young quarterback so he can do more with it more times. So the more times he get it, the more chances he have to make those plays to Malachi, to make those plays by himself and run the ball in. So that's what we need to do on defense, and that's their mindset they got to continue to grow on and build on.
I agree there. All right, this one's pretty easy. This one's from Greg. This dude's been following us since day one on Twitter, interacts with us quite a bit. And I love his handle, man. At GWAD_1982. Polar Bear Molly. Speaking of Nash Hutmacher, and for the love of God, they need to start pronouncing his name right on TV. It's driving me up the wall. I've heard Hutmaker. I've heard Hutmacher, Hutmacher. I'm like, it's Mocker. Get it? Mock. The word mock. Mock 1. How is mock spelled, you jackass? It's how it's said. For the love of God. But I mean, yeah, Hutmacher had a hell of a game. Wouldn't you agree there, Barron?
I say so. He showed up in the middle, and that's what you want your guy, your inside guy to do. You want them to dominate the line of scrimmage, and especially when the center wasn't as strong as he could have been, and we got to dominate that situation, and he did.
All right. Now this one, I kind of piggybacked off Grandpappy Husker on this one, but I love Grandpappy Husker on there. At Husker K 1960, Harburg is 4-1. Regardless of how he got us there, he is 4-1. I had to tell myself this after the game as I questioned his play. And that's exactly what I did as well. Yeah, his very first play of the game was an interception, but it was through Fidoni's hands. And yeah, I don't know. I love Fidoni. I think it's great he's back out there. But man, he's been having drops the last few games, and it's getting frustrating. But I agree there with Grandpappy Husker. Look, every quarterback has a bad game. You're never going to be perfect in each one. Kenny, he's got to be correct on this, right?
I agree. I mean, it's 4-1. We talked about that at the beginning of the podcast. You can't just make that move. What message are you sending to the rest of the team?
Yep.
I agree.
It's not like the other person lost. Well, you did get hurt. It's in that you get hurt, but he wasn't playing well when he got hurt to lose the job. So.
Wally Pipp.
Yeah. He wasn't playing exceptional, then got hurt, and then got stay with Harburg.
I had to pull this because, of course, I love these guys, but this time it ain't Ken from Gen Red. It's his son Scott, their other host on the Gen Red pod. And he says, as bad as things look sometimes, we are winning more of the games that we would normally lose in years past. I hope we see this painfully slow trend continue. It is painfully slow, Scott. It really is. But look at it this way. We've already won 4 games this year. And 3 of those that I could think of, or maybe just 2, are games we would have lost in the past easily. We would have found a way to lose. But now we're finding a way to win them already. And Rule already has more wins in his first year than his last 2 previous college tenures at Temple and Baylor. He only had 1 win in Temple his first year, and I believe 2 at Baylor his first year. So he's already done better here in his first year than anywhere else.
Yeah, but he didn't take over dumpster fires. I mean,
Baylor.
Baylor was a dumpster fire. That's coming off the Art Briles. And Temple was Temple. So, I mean, you're technically taking over a team that's
should have been winning.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's why I want him, of course, want him to do well, but that's why I'm harder, and my critiques are harder. You're not going into the mud and trying to pull something out of the mud. You're walking into a situation where you had a team that should have won more games than they should have won last year. And that's why somebody hit me up. I ain't gonna, I don't bust people up. Somebody hit me up on Twitter. Ken, what you think about this? The Northwestern team. I said we beat a team that won one game last year. Yep. And we were the team that they beat for the one win last year.
Right.
You had to bring it up.
So because, I'm gonna tell you why I said that. Because it was somebody who got in my inbox who said something about Colorado Western Field about Nebraska. I said, don't get in my inbox bragging about us beating a one-win team. You have to have that same energy.
Yeah.
Vice versa. We gave them their one win in Ireland.
Yep.
We should have beat them.
11-point lead.
You get what I'm saying? So my thing is, my criticisms are harder because I said 5-7 or 6-6 this year, Brian. I think I'm like 5-7. I said 6-6 will be pushing it for our record. So we're where I expected us to be. You know what I mean? We're where I expected us to be.
We're getting close to where Cluster said 7-5 or 8-4. So
let's keep the momentum going. But you know where I'm at on it, Brian. I'm sure Barron's the same. I'm coming in the seasons expecting national championships, or at least be playing for one, regardless of who it is. And if we go 9 and something, that's still 9 wins, but we're still like, that's not good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
Hey, I said it at the beginning of the season when we had Cluster on before the season started, man. I predicted us to make it to Indy, and I hate to – don't look now, everybody, but due to some help with Iowa losing and Wisconsin struggling,
the Western
totally
side is
possible. I know, total cliche to call it this, but it's the absolute truth. It is the wild, wild west, by far. All right, last one I got for us comes from a former black shirt as well, Adam Carricker. Of course, at Adam Carricker 94. Check out the Carricker Chronicles if you haven't, guys. Awesome job he does on that show. But he says it, and I agree with him here because watching the young man on this one play, just one play, I think we saw something special. And he said, Malachi Coleman is that deep threat we've been missing. Happy for him, exclamation point. I agree. I think we finally do have a deep threat. It just sucks that he's so young. So much he's got to learn. Just hopefully it's quick or they simplify things for the rest of the season because we're thin at wide receiver now. When we lost Washington, we got even thinner. So these young men need to step up. Malachi did. Granted, it was an option pass. Everybody in the whole defense thought it was an option run for sure, but ran to perfection, route, play, pass. All phases of that play were perfect, and as a true freshman, you were part of that perfection. I think Coleman's going to be special. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he showed. I mean, it was a play. Granted, with the option of the quarterback having the running capability, defense bid on it, allowed him to get vertical. You'll see next week how they use him. It's different when people are expecting you to do things, and you got to carry that load. Are you going to put that much load on him? I can't put too much because of his mindset. Where is he? Just like Kenny said when he first came in, understanding route progressions, understanding, am I giving the route away? Things like that. When you're running fast, you got long strides. You got to build up somehow. As an older DB, I'm going, here you come. Come on, let's go. I'm going to run this vertical with you. Let's go. So it makes those things harder. So again, helping that young man grow and feel his way in there. Hey, running a RPO action with him running vertical route. That's going to help them because they're going to be worried about fitting their run fits and things like that. So it can help them escape and get vertical faster. So Long as they use them in those capabilities and don't just put them on the island and say go, you can run and go. It doesn't happen like that. Defenses know who's fast and who's not fast. And if I know this guy is fast, I know I'm worried about him stepping on my toes. I got to be ready to run. It's going to gear me up. I think the first time I was at the NFL Combine and one of the coaches asked me, the scout said, who was the toughest receiver you covered? And of course, I'm like, none of them. I shut them all down. And then he said, well, what about the kid Bird from Kansas? And the kid from Kansas, out of J.J. Stokes, out of Michael Westbrook, Charles Johnson, Joey Galloway, those guys went in the top 5 of first picks in the NFL draft. So none of those guys could beat me deep, and they was fast. Bird was the only guy that beat me deep because I went to sleep on him that one play.
Damn.
And he beat me deep because I wasn't thinking about him going deep because my scout report said he's not a vertical threat. So I fell asleep, but that scout remembered that was the guy that beat me. And he said, well, what happened? I said, that was the last time I fell asleep on any receiver.
Damn.
But that's the trick. I understand as defensive guys, we understand that, okay, that guy's fast. It's more than just speed.
Yeah.
Some guys are just crazy fast. You ain't gonna cover them anyway. But there's some people that understands the game and they naturally gets open, and you like, that dude is so fast, and he maybe not that fast. He's just the average runner, and he just gets open. He's
always open.
He know how to manipulate the DB, get him to turn and get out his break a lot faster than him, and therefore he's open. So we help these young guys, these young athletes out. We'll be good to go.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna have to learn being a taller receiver, the intricate part of playing the position. I mean, because I had to learn, like I said, going up against them, and then I had to learn, okay, with the longer rangy corners, once I get to where I need to go, boom. With the smaller guys, I want to keep on my hip when I'm running this route. So then I can use my body as a shield. I can come out of the break because they think I'm long stride. While I'm running, I'm processing. Okay, I'm almost at the 20. Boop, 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 boop. You know what I mean? The 3-step and I'm out. But I want them here because if I'm beating them too bad, they're gonna jump up underneath that and pick that. That's done. You know what I mean? It's just if he learns that, he'll be okay. I want to see him progress. I don't want them to just make him vertical guy. I want to see him be able to do across the middle, run the dig, run the slants, run the curl, run all these intermediate routes and be effective. You know what I mean? Otherwise, they're going to pigeonhole him, and even defense ourselves, this is their guy that runs straight in.
Right.
We can start scheming for that. We can get a safety on top. Corner, you press on him for a little bit, then fall off. We'll let the safety handle him in the backside. You know what I mean? So we'll see.
Yeah, it's like Trey Palmer. It was you couldn't just cover him deep because he could beat you over the middle and short as well. He could beat you in the slot. It didn't matter. He could just beat you.
Yeah.
So if Malachi could turn out to be the type of caliber of player that Trey Palmer was by the time he left here, oh my God, whoever's at quarterback's gonna love having him as a target.
Oh yeah.
So there you go, guys. There's Husker Twitter for you. I think that was all right. Pretty simple, easy. I mean, wasn't too hard. We won. So it's a lot easier to find the positive tweets after a win. It's the losses that suck to try and find, where there's just a shred of positivity, or at least the tweet isn't just curse ridden.
Right.
Where it's just nothing but, you know what? It's pretty much the end of the show. I think if any kids are listening or anything, that's their own problem. But it's fuck this, fuck that. We don't fucking care. It's absolutely mental how we as fans get. And I will admit, at times it is so hard not to get on there on this account and say some shit myself. But I hold back a lot. I give myself 24 hours to calm down, and then I do this. This is my therapy. This is how I get through as a Husker fan anymore. This has become a necessity. It's almost my medication. It's terrible. It's a sickness, and it needs to be cured. I don't know how to do it. Snake oil. I don't know. Somebody sell me some snake oil. I'll take it.
For sure, no doubt.
All right, Barron. Well, we're gonna wind it down. I think we covered it pretty well. Where the hell can everybody find you on social media, my man?
Oh, you asking this is a loaded question right here. All I know is I'm on Twitter. I'm on IG. Do I know the name? I don't know the names or anything like that.
I do.
My kids
I actually do. It's Barron Miles 09.
Okay. My kids set me up. They get me on. They do all that, and then they said, "All I can do is just type. That's it." I said, "Okay, go on there and I type. That's all I need to do." It's tough getting old.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
I'll agree. I'm only 41, and I'll agree, man. I'm actually behind these damn times with technology. It's tough figuring this shit out.
It is all this stuff. Yeah, like and don't like.
Yeah, everybody's got a phone and a camera and a video camera, and not to mention an opinion.
Yeah, yeah, they do.
Not everybody needs an opinion. Not everybody.
Hey, but I'm gonna say this though, about my man B. Miles. Put some respect on his name, the Canadian Hall of Famer. Yeah, 66 career interceptions, 13 block kicks, 980 interception return yards in CFL, second in career interceptions. The great B. Miles, man. It's an honor, brother. You know I love you, bro. And I always talk about you, Brian can tell you from the last 4 or 5 years. I'll tell you, one of the best, man. One of the best I've ever played against. I remember us all being sad when you got hurt. We watched that game in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I remember us watching it, man, and we were all in there just heartbroken, like, oh my God, no, is that B? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People don't. And then you coming back rehabbing. See this stuff people don't know. That you back in Lincoln rehabbing and all of that stuff, man.
Exactly.
Man, we want to see you back, bro. You up in the old house, you and Tyrone up in that, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's just what it is, man. You know, people got to really look at it and say, man, these dudes like really rock with each other. And that's what I always tell people, that even though y'all were older, I explained to Brian, I said, you know, the OGs, when you're there, they're older. You got to think about it. You know, y'all are 22, 23. We coming in 17, 18. So the age difference, and we rock with y'all, and we tight, and we got love for y'all. And I told him how you're normally tight with the ones that are juniors, sophomores, and redshirt freshmen, because you're going to be there with them the longest.
Exactly.
But it's still that love for, like, that's your dude. You know what I'm saying?
You're absolutely right.
And you like, man, you think about the little stuff and getting school. And I tell the story again. I told him last week, didn't I, Ryan? When I was shagging punts, and B was like, man, you can't hold that ball like that, man. He told me, you can't hold that ball like that. And I was holding it with two hands. He's like, that's gonna get.
He said that.
You like, you gonna get stripped.
Right.
You know, hey, man, don't step past the 10 on that punt when they punt that ball and you shagging it. You can't do it. Just let it go over here. You know, that's little stuff, but that's the stuff that was passed down,
right?
Because it's about Nebraska football.
Yeah.
Regardless of position. It was about Nebraska football, the team, the program, what we're about, what we're playing for.
Yep.
And lost in translation because we haven't been in those positions. I think that, me personally, has been lost, and it needs to start being reinforced, which comes with the expectation. And older players breaking it, coming in and saying, hey, we love y'all. Y'all putting on the uniform. But we want these are our expectations of you, and you need to roll with that. You know what I mean? It's not a fight. These are the expectations, and we want you guys to have these same expectations.
Right.
So, yeah, that's it, brother.
I appreciate it. I appreciate everything. I think also, because I know it was mentioned, like comparing our black shirts to now, it's hard. Mm-hmm. I think Kenny said it. That's an anomaly. That was something that you talk about, and you may never get that back. But they have their version of it,
right?
Which is fine. But what is that standard? Don't let that standard be when you go to practice and I'm seeing dude walking in practice and just loafing. That's not it.
No.
I'm like, you allow that? That's what you allow? And things like that. So to compare to what we was doing, because we was on something else. Honestly, I can't explain what we was on, but that was us. They may not be like that right now. It may not be that era or whatever it is, but the level of competition and learning how to compete, that doesn't go anywhere. That has to be the same. You have to have that mindset regardless and want to compete. And it's not a bad. Why are you going so hard? What do you mean, Mom, going so hard? Don't go. Get out of line, dude. Go get it back in the line. Give me somebody else. If you don't want to go hard, we got to practice.
Yeah.
So back into the game is easy, and I think I like the fact that we're trying to compare to what we did back then and everything as a black shirt. You didn't want to be with Charlie McBride. Charlie McBride cursed everybody out. If you was on that field and didn't get cursed out, you wasn't doing something right. He got everybody. He got every single person, and it was what it was. I think he was just doing it and picking people just to say, I got him. Because you was getting cursed out no matter what. I was like, I don't know what I did. What I do? Yeah. I don't care. Get over there and do what you're supposed to do. But it didn't matter. It was just one of those things that you knew Charlie Brown was going to curse one of us out each and every day. And that set the tone, and you went about your business. So.
Yeah, people love that, man. I always tell people, they say, what about, I hear all the defensive players talk about McBride, they play for him. I said, man, look, I'm on the outside, on the other side. I said, Coach McBride showed love to everybody. But I said he was hard on those dudes. He was on their ass, but he loved them, and them dudes would go through a wall for that man.
That was it. Yeah.
And then I said, and that's real. I said, because he defended, he was on their ass, but he loved them. I said, yeah. So I get it. Yeah, he was gonna be on everybody, but he loved y'all cats, man.
Yeah. It was fun. It was different. As I said, you're not supposed to explain it because that's when you knew it was special.
Yeah. When you can't put something into words, you know it means that much more.
Yeah. You knew when you came to one of our practices, you were like, whoa, okay. Do I really want to get out there? I better be ready. So it's one of those things, yeah.
Yeah, Kenny says it all the time, man. Yeah, you guys on that defensive side, y'all some different cats, man. Yeah, you guys.
You gotta be to run your head.
Y'all different breed.
That's different. I learned that early. I told you I stopped playing defense. Wait a minute. My forms are so I'm out here trying to Ronnie Lott and Steve Atwater people. Lord, trying to tear their neck off, not wrapping up, going for big hits. I'm sore. Wait a minute. Let me just keep catching this ball. Hey, my name's in the paper. More girls. Let me do this. Let me stop doing that. You know, hey, let me stop that. It's different. I'm like, you like playing Ram Man. Something's wrong with you, bro.
Oh, man. All right, guys. Well, we'll go ahead and shut her down now. At this point, it's pretty easy to find the show. Just Google Husker Army Podcast. We pop right up. Find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, almost anywhere you find your audio-only platforms. And like I said, YouTube, you can watch us if you want. I don't know why you'd want to watch my ugly mug, but getting to see Kenny and whoever we have on as guests, and this week being Barron Miles, you guys enjoy watching this stuff, not to mention the clips that are in here, the highlights from the games. You don't get to hear the audio from it because I cut it out, so we get to talk over it. So that's you guys' loss if y'all ain't watching. So, and Twitter and Instagram, you see it right down there crawling across the screen. At Husker Army Pod. You can find us there. We interact pretty frequently. You bring us up, we'll hop on and say something right back. There are days we don't say anything at all because there's just nothing to say.
Free smoke around these parts.
If you want, you take any of it. Kenny is our complaint department. If you got any complaints, you can hit up at Husker Noop 1911 on Twitter, and he'll be glad to assist you with any concerns or comments you might have.
All gas, no brakes.
I love watching Kenny on Twitter, man. It's great. It's almost a damn art form. It's awesome. All right, guys. Well, for myself, Brian Knudsen, for, of course, our other host, Mr. Kenny Cheatham, a.k.a. KC, and today's guest, everybody, the very special, and as Kenny gave him,
the legend,
Barron Miles, for joining us today. Thank you, Barron. It was amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Awesome.
All right, Husker Army. I think at this point, you know what to do. At ease, you are all dismissed.